Boy, talk about technical difficulties to start this thing off, huh? My computer, right as we're about to go on, my computer crashed. How about that? How about that for something different? Something completely unwanted. Well, there's a game for you. Now, I know I didn't do this publicly, but we're here to talk about the Bruins, Toronto here, and the Bruins, Toronto game. So, I gotta get Dave Rose on here because Dave Rose probably like, where the hell is he? What's he doing? What's going on? What's up, Dave?
Hey, Joe, what's going on?
Yeah, I had all kinds of problems. My computer restarted itself. I didn't realize that the updates had started. You know, I hate when that happens.
I hear you.
Well, anyway, everyone that I talked to today, I actually said, I think the Bruins are going to lose this 6-1 tonight. That's what I said to everybody.
I honestly thought that myself. The thing is, the Leafs had all these things in their favor, and I honestly think that they should have won tonight. But that just goes without saying because, if you look at what they had going for them, they were at home after that stirring ceremony that went on that actually got me choked up and teary, and the fact that they'd won against the Islanders, basically they overran them. They dominated them, as
Right.
Jeff Huffman would say. They had 2-3 days of intensive practice, and this is the result that we get.
It's really bizarre. It reminds me of the Bruins when they would have home games like this where they had some kind of pressure or something happened, whatever it may be, emotionally, and they had the same trouble. It was really weird. It's almost like it works against you. You feel so much pressure, it works against you. I know that if I thought the Bruins were going to look like Toronto looked tonight, like you said, it was going to be the opposite, and I thought I was going to be coming on here really pissed off, but not shocked that the Bruins didn't put a big enough effort out there. But instead, it was the other way around, and it was the Toronto Maple Leafs not putting up the effort. I mean, they should have just. I don't understand, in any of these hockey games, whether it was the Bruins losing tonight or oh my God, don't say that, or the Maple Leafs losing. I feel like there should be more intensity at some point. More hitting. More intensity all around. I don't see that once you're down 2-1. That intensity should be there the whole game. But you would thought, like you said, the emotion and everything to begin the game, and you're in Toronto, and I thought you were going to see a swing. Not that this game doesn't mean the season's completely changed and everything has changed. I thought we were going to see a swing where the Maple Leafs now were as good, if not better, than the Bruins, because the Bruins are kind of their stock's going the other way, and Toronto's, I felt, was swinging in the opposite direction.
It looked like it was going up, absolutely. But this is just the oddest thing that after all these great, pros that they've got going for them, they can't even, at least score a goal. For nothing.
Well, they scored one goal. They did get that one goal.
Oh, sorry, that's right. That was panic.
Yeah,
my mistake. Sorry, it was just. But the thing to me, it was just so overwhelming. This game that it was. Boston was just smothering the Leafs, and it really bothered me. I got to a point where I was starting to yell at the screen because it was like they were just giving the puck away.
Oh, yeah.
And there were so many turnovers from the Leafs. Now, granted, Boston, same thing, but not as much as the Leafs, and it just did not seem to me that they were playing with the same intensity as they did with the Islanders. Now, I will grant them this. With each passing period, they did show an increase in intensity, but it just did not seem to add up to what Boston was putting out.
You saw the old Bruins tonight. The Bruins all season have looked bizarre, and this was the only night that they looked like the team. But I can't figure out if they looked like that team because of just how different and better they were playing, or if they looked like that team because of what Toronto was letting them do. I don't know which way. It's kind of a little bit of both, probably.
Well, to be honest with you, the problem is, I feel, is this whole analytics thing that's been thrown into play when it comes to the way the teams are playing has again, I'm kind of old school, so
I'm pretty old school too. If I was you, I would want to see at least 3 fights tonight.
yeah, exactly. But you throw analytics into it, it throws me for a loop. I'm not too sure which way to grab as to what is going to happen. And I think this is really pertinent to our discussion. But Randy Carlyle, the coach of the Leafs, was recently quoted saying, according to some people, tongue in cheek, that analytics show, quote, that the Kadri line has the puck 55% of the time, but no scoring at all, unquote.
Right.
So I should remind everyone that you can't spell analytics without anal. So I think that's my opinion on that. But
what are Phil's analytics on playing defense? Phil Kessel. Where's the stat for that? Because he's terrible at it. Except for tonight in the third period, I think he actually made a play.
I'll tip my hat to him. He did a few good things. He's got some good upper body strength. He can sort of position himself in a certain way, but I saw him giving away the puck a lot more, and that pissed me off because, God damn it, what the fuck, man?
I don't know what he's doing. This is what he did here. I mean, that's why they kind of but we didn't have that going on. That's why Phil Kessel fit into what we were doing in Boston. That's why I don't understand why they get rid of him. They say he was a defensive liability, but the team was so defensive minded that you really didn't notice it, and then he scored 30 goals. You know what I mean? So that's why, not to go completely off this game, but it's weird. You know what I mean? He gave up some plays on the Bruins, but it was but we did so much, and then he scored 30 goals. Same thing as Sagan. Everybody else did so much that it didn't really matter. We'll take the 35 goals from Sagan. If he lets up 5 during the season because of his, whatever, we'll take the friggin' 35 goals. So that's my problem with the Bruins, by the way, is that they didn't keep one of these guys. All right, we got Sagan for Kessel. It worked out. Oh, I'll give Sagan away now.
I felt that they played a lot more tight than the Leafs. I mean, the first goal by Soderberg was, was okay. But let me be honest. The second goal by Krejci, I was honestly like, this is what I said when that happened. What? Wow. Because that goal was just incredible.
Krejci's done a couple of those this year, and he's quiet. That's what's weird about him. He's comes out of nowhere. He does something crazy, but it's really quiet. So the way he walks in like that. That's the second or third time he's done that. And I was all over the Bruins because they just signed him, and I was like, I don't want him. They could have freed up cap space and gotten a few other people, but I don't know. All of a sudden he's playing really well. He usually does this stuff in the playoffs and doesn't do it during the season. So.
Now, what did you think of Hamilton's goal? Because I think my response to that is Bernier had no excuse. That got it to 4-0, and it. I'm not a goalie. I'm not going to say that I can do this job, but it just seemed that if he's in that position, he should be able to do so. And it seemed so easy that he just missed it. I don't know whether or not you thought that Hamilton just got a lucky shot, whether or not it was his skill showing through, or if it was just Bernier's incompetence not allowing him to save that.
Well, Dougie Hamilton's our defense right now. The Bruins defense is really fairly offensive minded. It's really weird because we're all about defense, but yet our defense is offensive minded. And Hamilton's good at scoring. He's going to be one of the leading defensive scorers in the league going forward. He's really young. He's so big you don't really realize how young he is. Maybe. If you don't know. But no, I think that it was the give-up goal is what it looked like. You know what I mean? It kind of looked like if I saw that goal as a coach, if you thought maybe they needed more effort before and you saw that go in, that would flip my head out. If I was a fan, even the coach, I would lose it. The bench would be flying in the air. It's a combination again of both things. That was kind of how this whole night was, a combination of two different things. Hamilton's a great, good offensive D-man, good shot. He always takes. It's always never the best shot, but he always just takes it at the right time. His timing is always really, really good. But no, I think Bernier could have. I think they could have put a little bit better effort into stopping that. I think it could have been 3-1, 3-2 tonight. I think Toronto really should have made it something of a game, 3-2. Would have been maybe acceptable for them to come back and not give up one. I think these two teams, could be pretty even at the end of the year. if the Bruins continue to be this wobbly team that really hasn't found themselves, and they're not really the big bad Bruins anymore. They're not. At least they haven't. They just haven't been. And if Toronto,
yeah, then who are the Leafs then? Because this sort of loss, makes you question. Okay, if the Bruins aren't as the big bad team that they used to be, and Toronto's losing to them at this amount.
Well, I think it's the Leafs almost look the same. After watching this game, I mean, I've seen some of the games this season, and after watching all the games together, it's almost like the Bruins have taken a step behind. It's take a step back, but the Leafs haven't really taken any steps anywhere. They're still just where they were. Like you know, what I mean, you have that feeling that they could be good. They're gonna go. Maybe they'll go to the playoffs. They'll sneak in, 8th, 7th spot, and then you get this feeling that. They could miss it. So it's the same way I've felt about the Leafs the last few years.
I noticed in this game that there was an ebb and flow. Now, this is sort of, I'm critical of the Leafs, but I'm willing to tip my hat when I see that they do something right. So instead of previous years where I've seen the whole team collectively just totally shut down at the last moment, let themselves just get destroyed and all these goals racked up, I saw an ebb and flow in this game, and again with this year's team, an ebb and flow in the way that they respond. So they don't just totally degenerate. They sort of go downhill and then they get mad and they seem to get aggressive again. Now, unfortunately, I have not seen that aggressiveness match those of the opposing teams, but it does sort of show that they are trying to fight back, but I do think that it could be, as one guy from Shot from the Point who called in, Matt Cassar, does mention that there could be a lack of identity with the team. So that's why they're not cohesive in the way that they're playing. But I think that they all have their own sort of attitude as, I should be winning, I should be doing these sorts of things. And that sort of causes this reaction that you see that it's an ebb and flow when it comes to their response to getting scored on. So they do try to, again, get aggressive, but then they fail. And then, you see an aggressiveness again, and then they fail. So, I definitely think that that's something that's inherent in the players themselves rather than the organization.
Yeah, it's in the players for sure. I mean, it starts with Kessel for me. I mean, that's one of the things that made not to keep harping on Kessel. I mean, it's everybody, but he would. I just always had that feeling like he wants to just give me the puck. I want to score, and that's about it. He doesn't really want to get into anything else.
But tell me about Boston. Look at the okay. Granted, there was a fair bit of times actually where they did turn it over. But look at the way that they were playing amongst themselves. They were passing properly. They knew where everyone was. They were willing to give up that puck to get that goal in. I didn't see that with the Toronto team.
Yeah, it was really weird. It was like they were all playing for themselves. I noticed that, playing, their own style. But you're right. There was no connection with everybody tonight on Toronto. I mean, that's what it looked like tonight. I mean, I don't know if that's consistent throughout the season. I've seen them look that way a little bit before, but this was one of their worst, showings of the season, and one of the Bruins' best, and that's really what it is. I think both teams might lie somewhere more in the middle than what they are. But you're right; they have to find their identity. I think the Bruins. We were just talking about the Bruins need to find their identity. We don't know really what they're going to be. They're certainly lost some of their toughness, but at the beginning of the season, they said they were going to go for speed more and, have a different fourth line and everything. Then they called up that Bobby Robbins guy, but then they sent him back down, and now it's, I'm really not sure what they are either. Watching the Bruins, to me, is bizarre. Even though we won tonight, it doesn't seem right. I feel weird watching the Bruins. They are together, though. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys are familiar with each other. When you mention that, these guys have been on the team now. Everyone, most of them, the core, for more than 3 years. So we're missing some pieces, like Johnny Boychuk. Char is injured. That's another thing about the game tonight. I say 6-1, and one of the things I was going to say was, the Bruins, we've had a lot of fun, laughing at Kessel and booing when they're in our building and just beating up on them and having a blast with that. And then all of a sudden, the last year during Game 7, it was like, well, holy shit, Kessel finally is able to score on us. He's finally snapped out of it. We can't really rag on him anymore. He's finally, broken through this thing. And then we came back in the Game 7 and all that stuff happened. But so I thought going in tonight, well, now Kessel doesn't have that monster on him because he is intimidated. I'm telling you, I can tell when I watch, he's got to worry about Chara all over him. Chara's job is to cover Kessel. He's got Chara, Seidenberg, and they really give Kessel a problem. They really, really give him a problem, especially if you watch before he finally opened up with a couple of goals last season. Was it last year? Am I thinking of the year before? When was Game 7, the Toronto playoffs in the first round against the Bruins? Was that last year?
I think maybe the year before.
Oh my goodness, it was, wasn't it? I'm out of my mind. But I think maybe Kessel scored in the regular season last year too. So we had a couple of 2 or 3 years of really owning Kessel and really doing well against. I think we did really well against Toronto because of the whole Kessel thing. Like fired everybody up and we got even more aggressive. But not tonight. I was like, well, there's no Chara out there. Kessel can really open it up tonight. I think Kessel's going to have 2 goals, maybe 3 goals. I think the Bruins are going to lose 6-1. You got the celebration. I mean, not the celebration, but the memorial / celebration of being a Canadian, being in Canada, celebrating hockey. Screw you type of thing. We're proud, that type of thing. And I watched the opening ceremony, which is just greatly done, by the way. The beginning was so good.
I would say it was very respectful, very somber, and it was not opulent or over the top. It was exactly what it needed to be. And you made a great point on one of your previous videos where there's no need to mention the pieces of scum that do these sorts of things. We have to mention those that actually try to protect us from these sorts of things.
I don't understand. You can go look at some of the comments now in that video. And it's amazing the people that are defending the articles. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. The article today, I posted it on my Facebook. I got to go find it now because it really, really made me want to throw up. I don't think people understand that it's sort of subliminal what happens over time. Is if you've ever seen the movie Natural Born Killers, where everyone's like, we love Mickey and Mallory, like they're so cool. Like I don't really like mass murder, but they're cool. It's like that's what happens. On Yahoo.com, there's a picture of the kids lining up in FBI, and then to the right, there's a big, huge photo of this fucking killer, and then below that, it says, "Who is Jalen and who is his name with his name there? Who is he?" And then it talks about his tweet and angered love interest and like all this stuff about it, and like was he really a good person until this happened, and all these things, and like what was he like? And it's like, who cares? I don't care. Why is this all over?
It doesn't even matter.
It's unbelievable. They just
matter.
Oh, like that's what we do here, though. Because it's like he becomes a celebrity. Is what happens. And it's like no
time for fucking putting these people's picture on their fucking magazine cover.
Right. It's like
the fucker are they to try to glorify these people or make them celebrities when they should be relegated to the lowest levels of hell.
Exactly. And Michael Moore, not that Michael Moore is, not that everyone's going to like Michael Moore, not that his documentaries are really documentaries either, but there's a lot of footage on one of his documentaries and on multiple other documentaries that I've seen and just behind the scenes type of stuff with news crews and stuff. And it's just funny. I can picture the news crews lining up and everyone's joking probably. Like, I hope we can get one of the kids to say he was an asshole. Just they're making all these jokes. They're laughing. All the news crews in America have erections because they can't wait to like cover this stuff. They're amped up. They're just like, it's the same thing as like the military, some of the military like in America who doesn't know what's going on inside of a house. Maybe there's innocent people in there, but they know there's one murderer. So they go in there like a bunch of psycho football players because they've been waiting all week for months to do this, to go in and just go crazy on someone. And then someone's kid ends up getting shot by accident. It's the same thing. Those reporters are geared up and ready. They don't care. They're like animals just waiting to tell this weird story. And the way they talk, it's weird. Listen, you have the right to cover stuff. My problem actually isn't that they cover things sometimes. It's how they actually act about it. You're like, these people are actually like like I'm a fucking asshole myself, but this is unbelievable. Like the black guy in New York that got killed, maybe some of that like was accidental and whatever. None of that. But what I really got angry was when he got carried in the ambulance and the guy who choked him out was laughing his ass off and stuff. And it was like, oh man, if I sent that guy to the hospital, even if I was just doing my job, trying to take him down, I'd be worried. I'd be like, God, I hope that guy's not dead. I want to kill him. I want to just take him out.
Did you see that cop recently in New York that kicked? He was a plainclothes cop. He kicked another uniformed cop in the head, thinking he was the suspect. While the uniformed cop is trying to wrestle the suspect on the ground, and he kicked him in the head like the typical, oh, that's a black guy, let's kick him in the head, full boot type thing.
Right.
And when he realized he was a cop, because the bystander who was filming said, this guy the cop kicked another cop, he sort of patted the guy on the head, was like, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Tim.
Yeah, a little too gung-ho there. You got to take a look at the color of the person, right? Isn't that the cop policy? Make sure he's black before you make the attack.
Yeah, you really have to. These cops have to undergo some sort of a restraint. It's weird because you can watch hockey players do this all the time, and it's amazing the restraint that they have sometimes. Like this guy might have just slashed your teammate in the neck, and your teammate's neck's bleeding. Then these two guys will get in a fight, and especially like Sean Thornton, I'm just going to use him because he was on the Bruins for so long and he fought all the time. And except for maybe like one or two times, just about every single time he ever fought, even if it was a crazy intense thing, the guy'd fall down. Sean would not throw another punch. He wouldn't continue to beat him on the ground. He would, all right. There were times where you could see his arm was cocked and he would stop and let go. And most hockey players and most fighters usually do that. They understand when it's over. But if the cops are going crazy, that's a personality trait, or that's an anger management thing, or that's a whatever. And I'm not saying the cops don't have the rights to protect themselves, because they should, but
in fact, both of them have that blood flowing through their veins and all that testosterone and stuff. But the hockey player isn't the one who's going to take this stick and start to bash someone's head in.
Right.
So, we have to understand that one of these groups of people that, are both faced under, fairly amount of stress and pressure, isn't overreacting when it comes to things that they see in their job.
Right, exactly. And, hey, whatever, though. It was a great celebration sort of tonight. I'm glad. There's a lot of people. There's already people like... this is some American, not Americans, but actually this guy was from fucking Europe. He was like, Jesus, all the stuff that happens to America, a couple, what Canada lost 2 people and they had this big celebration. It's like, yeah, this stuff doesn't happen up there, dude. And it doesn't happen. It doesn't matter where it happens. It's freaky. And hopefully this is the end of it there. You just don't see it. And it just happened to us. It just happened to me around the corner. So they blew up a fucking bomb. And, someone that I play hockey with, the guy's kids knew the kid, and his kids are all upset about it still. The kid that died, the little kid that died. I didn't even know it's that close to me. It's crazy. It's hard for it's hard to understand until it happens near you. You know what I mean? I think that I think that sometimes people think Canada's just like, oh, they're quiet. They're not gonna do anything. That's why most of the time stuff doesn't happen too. But like I said, you put a gun in a hockey player's arms. Look out. You don't want to mess around, and it's just terrible that happened. But look what happened with the glorification of those guys. Pictures of them everywhere. You know who these guys are now. You know what they've been doing. You've seen all these stories. You've almost got to see you've got to see their lives, all the people that took pictures with them. You got all these great stories, and everyone's kind of like surrounded by it, and it's such a positive thing. Out of negative, you've turned a negative into a positive. Everything was positive, then it went negative, but it went positive again. But in America, it's like, well, who is this guy in the dark side of this guy, and like, how did he turn this way, and what happened, what made him go off the edge, and they freak out and they go into all this bullshit. And it's just like, well, he's an asshole. He's crazy. Why do I want to know about this guy? I want to know about who the people that died. Who should I be feeling bad for? Like, we don't know anything. I don't even know anything. Offhand right now, I didn't do any searching for any of this stuff. And offhand, I know everything about the murderer. And I don't know anything about the people who got killed. But yet I know everything about the people who got killed in Canada. And I know nothing about the person who did the killing, except I think they were sort of a terrorist or something. It's amazing. Night and day. But
It is quite amazing that it's so different, that dichotomy, that, and this seems to be quite. I mean, shit. You take a look even back in the day of Charlie Manson, where he's being idolized, and you don't hear much about the victims and stuff. So you're absolutely right that there's a problem
and
there.
think about it, to this day, for the most part. I mean, yeah, Sharon Tate, and there's a lot of other things, I guess. But to this day, it's like he's the biggest name out of all that whole thing. He's the biggest name. We're still talking about him. And it's like, wait, you still don't really know, about these other people. I mean, who cares? It's a weird situation. It's bizarre. But anyway, let's go to the Toronto Maple Leafs and back to the Bruins. I think the Bruins, and we'll wrap it up here in a few, but because I'm doing kind of a short show, but the Bruins and Maple Leafs, I think, are really going to be fighting for that second spot. I think Montreal is going to stay in first the entire season. That's the way I feel, and I think it's up to the Bruins and Toronto to fight for the. I think they might take each other on, and maybe if in the playoffs. I think the Bruins will make the playoffs, and they'll be in a lower seed, 6, 7, or 8, and Toronto. Same deal. They might be in the eighth seed if they can get in there.
It's a good point, because going into this game, Toronto was ranked actually 6th, just behind Boston. So this might just be fairly tight. And I will say that in this game, that at certain points it was tight. But again, Toronto was not playing up to their ideal. We've seen that they can play. We know that. So, again, something is happening. They weren't able to face up against what they were facing with the Bruins. And clearly they're going to have to be working on their lines. Or I don't even know anymore what the fuck is wrong with the Leafs.
Right.
I just know that when you compare them to other teams, they're not performing the way that they're supposed to. And you know that they can with the skill that they have on their team.
By the way, I forgot how the league's set up now. I'm thinking we're in conferences and stuff still. I'm all messed up.
Oh yeah, I just want to quickly say that I was looking back on I was just replaying the PBR here on the only Leaf goal really of the game, panic at 5:33 of the third period, and it was right off the top of the
Tuukka was pissed.
The goalpost. It was actually really good.
You know what the problem was?
Really,
if you look at that again, if you're looking at it, you'll see Rask is really upset, and he actually yells at Hamilton. You can tell Hamilton looks like he wants to play goalie on the left side of the net instead of actually guard the stick of the guy who's open in front of him. Just as a defensive, as how that's a goal. If anybody was watching, if you're Hamilton, you have to be on that guy's stick. You can't be trying to play Tuukka's position, and that's what he did, and that's part of why the goal went in. Just a great shot, a great setup, great job knowing where to be, knowing that Hamilton, was backed off a little bit, yep. And bam, that's what happens. That's how a goal happens, and right behind the net, and you can do that against the Bruins this year. That's the other thing is that's
Bernie is not a bad goalie. That's the thing. I think that 2 of the goals he could have easily blocked, no problem. But
right.
The problem, I think, and I've seen this with Reimer as well, is that the Leafs aren't working with their goalie. They're getting in his way. They're blocking him. He can't see, and they're getting the goals in.
Yeah, like you said, it's not cohesive. They're not together.
Exactly.
That's the problem. The word is cohesive, and that's what the coach needs to start stressing. Or dude's doing something in practice. I don't know what you do in practice to fix this, but you have to do it. You can't just rely on the same thing every night. I mean, what does Phil Kessel have? 4 goals. Where was Bozak tonight, by the way?
Bozak was in a few good places. He didn't get the goals in. I love Bozak, not only for what he does, but just the name Bozak. It just falls off the tongue.
Bozak.
But, I will tip my hat to Rask. He did a great job tonight. Not only just from the great work that he did defending goals, but just the way that, again, like you're saying, cohesion, the way he worked with his team, knowing where people were around him.
Yeah, and the Bruins haven't looked like that. The Bruins have looked a lot like the Leafs in the
So
way
what
they
happened?
So
What happened today with the Bruins? Like,
I
how
don't
did they
know.
perform? With all these odds against them, how did they perform so well in Toronto?
I think some of it is knowing that there are odds against them. Also, kind of coming in with the odds against them. Think about it. Coming in with that bad loss that we had. We had a bad loss the other night.
Yep.
And so you come in with that. You feel less pressure because you're the away team. Toronto's feeling all the pressure. You're in Toronto. You got the ceremony. I think that had a lot to do with it. I really believe that. These ceremonies and these special events before games can hurt the home team, I think, a lot of times, and make them kind of nervous. And almost like almost at the beginning of a playoff game or something like that, where you see both teams are sloppy and feeling each other out and it doesn't look right. Except what happens is the home team comes out like that, but the other team doesn't because they're just chilling out and they're the away team and they have nothing to do with it. They feel. And that's what I think it is.
Good point.
And also the coach probably ate their assholes out. You're coming off, you got exactly what you would think. You got the best Bruins game of the season tonight. That's what you got. And it's coming off of a lot of problems. And then what do you got with Toronto is the ceremony and the shakiness, and there you go. And probably a team that's just a little bit behind the Bruins. But if you get into the playoffs, you get a Toronto Bruins matchup, Toronto should know. Most likely they played an even tougher, a better Bruins team 2 years ago. So if you can get in the playoffs and play the Bruins or someone like that, you got to know that you could beat them. You can beat them. It's hockey. Everybody's really close.
A lot can change from now and then.
Yeah, I mean, you could lose tonight 4-0. You could win the rest of the series, so it doesn't matter. There's plenty of time. There's moves to be made in the league. Can I tell you who I don't like on the Toronto Maple Leafs? I hate this guy. I hate Dion Phaneuf. I don't like him.
You're not the only one.
All right, I don't like him. I don't like the way he plays. Well, let's move on from Dion real quick. How about Clarkson? What was wrong with him tonight? He was out of his mind. I mean, like at least he was doing something though, because I noticed him.
Phaneuf, though.
Okay.
What the fuck is he giving to the team? Is he captain? Is he what is he doing to inspire the team, to lead them? I didn't see nothing.
He is a stone. He is just roll a stone down a hallway. I mean, they need to figure out something with him. Just move. I mean, I guess you can't really. I don't know if you could say you can't afford to. I think it's just I expect more from someone like him. His name, what he's done in the past, his veteranship, all that stuff. Yeah, you're right. You expect this intangible. You expect some sort of leadership, but really he's just this ghost in the night with the name, and he's playing D. So it's like,
what is it? Is it the team that's bringing him down? Is it him that he's reached the end of the road? Like, what is it? When it comes to this, that is causing these sorts of problems.
I don't know.
At least in your view.
I think it's frustration I think it's just frustration. Like I almost feel like when I look at him, he looks around and thinks, ugh, like these younger people, like an old dog where a puppy's jumping up all over. That's what he's like. He's just ugh. Like I don't feel anything. There's no passion from him or anything like that. Like Carlyle, when he came to the Bruins, even at least he had a little bit of something, but people were kind of feeling that way about him. I mean, but what are you going to do? Get rid of Phaneuf, and then who you need a D guy? I mean, at least he's doing, he just kind of does his job and get out of there. But you need someone else. There needs to be somebody, and they could do this if they could work it out at the trade deadline with somebody. I don't know who they would get rid of or move, but I mean, Phaneuf. But you need that D man. But yeah,
McQuaid looked nice tonight on Boston's side.
McQuaid almost
nice and aggressive.
Almost broke his neck tonight.
Yeah,
he's done that a lot. He's
breaking things. What about the referee's fingers there?
Oh my god! Those? I don't know. It looked whatever it was. I was like picturing a sideways finger. Something like that. I was like, whatever that is, it's got to be disgusting. Something is really not right. Because most of the time, if those guys get hurt, they just stuff their hand in their pocket or something, and they figure it out later. But for him to have to come off, I wonder what the hell was wrong with him. And McQuaid's run into the boards like that before. He's kind of weird when he goes down.
Yeah.
That penalty was one of those things where it was a penalty, I think, but it was really accidental. It was just an accidental penalty, is what I feel like. The Bruins penalty was somewhat of a trip, I feel like, too. So both penalties kind of were similar to each other to me. McQuaid's gone into the
A
boards.
lot of penalties tonight.
Yeah, those are the two that really stuck out to me, though. I can't remember the other ones too much. I feel like the other ones were all legit. There wasn't. I could be wrong though, because I missed a lot of the calls.
Joe, I'm not sure what you watch when it comes to hockey, like what channel or anything, but at least the channel I was watching CBC. The assistant coach threw the towel onto the camera box, or the in the penalty box.
Oh,
He threw the camera, the towel over the camera. I can't remember who it was that was in the penalty box at that point. I'm just looking through my notes here, but yeah, basically, actually, it was in the first period. I can't remember. I think it was Bergeron. No, not Bergeron. Sorry, I can't find it right now. But bottom line is that it was the Leafs, and he threw the towel over the camera to just block any view of the reaction to the goal.
that's weird.
First
Yeah,
goal of Boston. And actually, the commentators on CBC were saying the exact same thing.
that's funny. No, so locally in Boston we have Nesson.
Clarkson got the penalty, so he was in
Clarkson.
He was in the box when they threw the fucking towel over the camera to block it from seeing Soderberg's goal, the reaction on Clarkson's face.
That's weird.
What the fuck does that tell you about the Leafs?
Yeah, that's weird.
Pisses me off.
I want to see that though. Because that's weird. That's funny. I mean, I don't know what that type of stuff is always a losing mentality if that's really what they're doing. So I'd be worried about that. Hopefully they can stop it. The Bruins did it last year. The Bruins had a losing mentality with the way they played last year. Almost every year, what the Bruins would do is they would react like bullies, but only once somebody did something to them. Like if you were skating past somebody and out of nowhere they threw their stick and slashed you in the neck and the referee didn't see it, and then the team would go after that guy and try to hurt him. And most people from the outside would say, "Oh, look at the Bruins! They're a bunch of assholes again." But it was that guy did something skeevy, and the Bruins were going to go kick his ass. And that I like that. Good. But last year the Bruins weren't like that a lot. The Bruins were the ones that were kind of dickheads, and they ended up and I think that's a big reason why they lost, because they started acting like babies and not playing reactionary tough guy hockey. They were just playing stupid shit hockey, and that's what Vancouver did during the Stanley Cup, and that's why Vancouver didn't win. And that's why Luongo will never win, because the guy is not mentally tough. He's just bizarre and a whiner, and that's what happens. You lose. And so hopefully that's just just some random thing that happened and it goes away. I mean, you can do that. I don't think that's the team mentality of Toronto, because they had opportunities tonight where they could have done some weird shit and they didn't do it. Although actually tonight is the night where I would have liked to seen it. If I was a Toronto, and I am, because I watched the Leafs when they're not playing the Bruins. And
it could have been such a great game.
Yeah.
Like, they could have been so caught up, so tied that, we would have been on the edge of our seats. But, we got this.
Yeah, right. And I thought they were going to come back. I mean, all it takes is one goal. One goal. That's all the coach should have been saying, is just go hard and go one goal. Throw that puck in the net. One goal, this place will blow up. 3-1, 2-1. Remember when they came back against us 4-1? You remember that? Well, guess what? We can come back too. It's called hockey. Let's go.
Well, the first goal was five and a half minutes prior to the end of the third period. They could have easily tied it up.
Right.
Easily.
Now, what's up with Clarkson in his shield? What's up with that? Do you know the story behind that full glass that he wears?
No, I don't know. And I was actually I was thinking to myself about that today. Looking at that, I was like, that seems out of the ordinary.
I was like, is it because I used to see Clarkson sometime and be like, oh, look at that guy. What a pretty boy. That guy. He's a pretty dude. And I'm thinking like he doesn't want his face to get hurt because he's gonna be like on the hockey, the Naked Hockey magazine this year.
Does that mean that he's gonna actually plan to be more aggressive, or is he just a pretty boy that wants to stay pretty?
I don't know. He was acting like he was doing the opposite.
Sorry to interrupt, but I actually think that sort of identifies a lot of the Toronto culture. Is this person thinking more about themselves, or is this person more than willing to take the hits, get injured, ruin their face up, get scars everywhere just to do their job?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm thinking, like, is it a medical thing? But he can't just want to wear that out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Those things are the most uncomfortable things to wear.
Yeah, that can't be right. He can't want to wear that on his own. And like I said, he's got a pretty cute face there. I'd bang him. So I'm thinking like it's to keep his pretty face okay. I mean, but he was running around out there a little, throwing the sticks around and everything. It's always funny the guy
That's his decision, though. He's choosing to wear that. Why? We have to really understand this player's mentality to understand how he's going to be cohesive or not in the team that he's playing for, shouldn't we?
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing but he had some of the most dangerous high sticks of the night. I was watching everybody.
Yeah,
yep. He's got the most protection on his face, and you wonder what it's about. Luckily, Milan Lucic made the cutoff, and he doesn't have to wear a visor because he would look weird with a visor.
Yeah, he was looking good today.
He looked all right. Yeah,
He's being aggressive. I like that. That's the thing. I need to see aggressiveness when it comes to hockey. I'm very concerned with the analytics that are going to be affecting the way that hockey's played, and I really do feel I've never been a fan of unnecessary fights. I do understand that if your players are getting hit, you need to make sure that they're protected, but analytics seems to be a game totally focused on trying to get the highest number of goals, totally excluding and ignoring the aggressiveness when it comes to the enforcer and the need to balance things out with a level of controlled violence, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. It would really depress me if the game goes any further than it already is. It really would freak me out. You'd probably start to see some crazy rants from me. I'm already kind of worried about it this season. It seems a little strange even right now, actually. But if they push the envelope even further with it, I'll tell you what, I just can't really see the fighting coming out of hockey. Even if they really shunned against it, at some point someone's going to get sticked and someone's going to come out. Something's going to happen. I mean, even if they made crazy penalties at some point and tried to take it out of the game, I mean, I can't believe you would stop it because it's the most physical, agitating sport that just constantly goes on. But no, they better not do that because you're right. They don't understand the intangibles. And I think Tommy went off on a rant about it, and he's right. And maybe you did too. I know you did, but I know it was a rant and it was real. What he said was these fucking people, some of these people coming up with the analytics, they don't know a goddamn thing. I'm not watching baseball. This is why I don't even watch baseball that much anymore, and I loved it. But I'm just sick and tired of all the stats. I'll watch baseball. I don't want to.
No, sorry to interrupt.
No, I don't want it. I'll be sick to my stomach. Mike Milbury has been taken to fucking Planet X somewhere, and he's someone else's body. Like, this is like a Doctor Who episode. Mike Milbury is not in his skin. Somebody has abducted Mike Milbury. He is somewhere on this planet in chains. That is not Mike Milbury.
Tommy said this, and I agree that if the things seem to be going in the way that they're diminishing the focus on enforcement on what outsiders, not people that play this that enjoy it, outsiders call violence. And it's not violence, it's what's part of the game, and we have to be honest about that.
Yeah.
And it's just it's pathetic that they're trying to impose their views on a game that's been established for so long and has been shown that we need that sort of balance when it comes to the whole game itself.
Yeah, exactly. And and that's what they call it. They call it the violence. This is what they do in football. I don't want to watch football. Sucks now too. So it's like, dude, all I have left is this hockey. Please, like, oh my God, don't let it go away here. Don't let this happen. What I'm really concerned with is if they diminish the what they call the violence, again, what's needed, aggressiveness in the game, that's needed. If they reduce it any further, what's going to happen is people like maybe Vince McMahon are going to create the XHL in an attempt to try to garner all those people that still desire an aggressiveness, a level of aggressiveness in their hockey that they're not getting from the mainstream mainstream teams and associations and stuff. Right.
Do you agree with me? I mean, I'm not thinking that Vince McMahon is going to do that, but they're going to keep removing this aggressiveness from the game. And what's it going to leave us with?
it's gonna leave us. It's gonna leave it. I don't know. It's gonna leave it for a new generation or something. I don't know.
It's going to be a video game. It's like, oh, 1 point.
Yeah.
Oh, the other team's got another point.
Yeah,
Is that it?
you know something. It will go down if it ever takes a step back from popularity that it has right now. You'll see it come back. You know, this same thing happened in the '90s actually, and then it bounced back. So
it does.
I hope it does. I hope if they try this, I hope. Yeah, I hope they see stuff. You'll see numbers drop, unfortunately. And the only thing that sucks is you'll see teams move. You'll see, some expansion teams will go away.
Now, I'll be honest. I personally want to see analytics fail. Now, I've got to be honest. Okay, it might work. I can't be stupid and say, okay, it's not going to work whatsoever. It could work, I've been wrong. But I need to see analytics fail. Why? Because I need to be able to see people realize we can't solve things with numbers and accountants. This is a fucking game. This is a visceral sport where testosterone gets involved and you cannot quantify that. And that's what just enrages me when it comes to the view of hockey. It's like, let's make it into a Wall Street portfolio. No, this is a fucking game.
Right. It's a game. You're right. They're trying to turn in the stock market. Let's keep everybody safe. Let's make sure everyone's happy. But they're pleasing people that don't even care about the sport is what they're trying to do. It seems like it's...
Numbers,
we already like the sport.
It's not about numbers.
Yeah, I'm disgusted by it. I hope it doesn't happen.
Oh, man, I'm sorry, man, but I'm just fucking livid when it comes to that.
I could just go off right now, but we're going to end the show. But I could go off on a rant. I could go nuts. Guys, if you want hockey talk from Tommy C, go check out Shot from the Point. On his channel and subscribe. He does hockey all the time. I just felt like it'd be cool to come on here with Matt and talk about Toronto Boston since both our teams are playing tonight. And we used to do a lot of hockey. I don't do it anymore. But Dave, by the way, your Skype picture is just it's fucking epic.
Glad you like it. Actually, that's when I used to sing. It seems to be that everyone, either Joe Cronin related or Shot from the Point related, was involved in a band somehow.
Yeah.
And me too. So.
Me, you, and Tommy were all singers in a band. It's really funny. And we all had long hair and basically looked like that. So it's pretty funny. Now I'm old and decrepit. All right, man. Thanks for being here, everybody. We will see you later. And keep it hard. And hopefully your hockey team does well tonight, whoever they may be, unless you're the Montreal Canadiens. Goodbye.
True North Strong, Canada.
It's kind of funny to think about that Toronto guy who had the Boston not as strong or something thing, and tonight they had those signs.
There's no need for that.
Remember that? Do you remember that?
It's not cool, man.
Boy, talk about technical difficulties to start this thing off, huh? My computer, right as we're about to go on, my computer crashed. How about that? How about that for something different? Something completely unwanted. Well, there's a game for you. Now, I know I didn't do this publicly, but we're here to talk about the Bruins, Toronto here, and the Bruins, Toronto game. So I gotta get Dave Rose on here because Dave Rose probably like, where the hell is he? What's he doing? What's going on? What's up, Dave?
Hey, Joe, what's going on?
Yeah, I had all kinds of problems. My computer restarted itself. I didn't realize that the updates had started. I hate when that happens.
I hear you.
Well, anyway, everyone that I talked to today, I actually said, I'm like, I think the Bruins are going to lose this 6-1 tonight. That's what I said to everybody.
I honestly thought that myself. The thing is, the Leafs had all these things in their favor, and I honestly think that they should have won tonight. But that just goes without saying because, if you look at what they had going for them, they were at home after that stirring ceremony that went on that actually got me choked up and teary, and the fact that they'd won against the Islanders, basically they overran them. They dominated them, as
right.
Jeff Huffman would say. They had 2-3 days of intensive practice, and this is the result that we get.
It's really bizarre. It reminds me of the Bruins when they would have home games like this where they had some kind of pressure or something happen.